So meat, holy crap, it was, we were in hell one day. Not really. So meat was kind of a joint effort from multiple bands. I was in a band called the Opposable Thumb. My band at the time, Vertical Skinny, had just disbanded for a second time, and so I joined a band called the Opposable Thumb, which I had known for years. Great guys that we jammed with over the years. Anyway, long story short, this little trail of the Opposable Thumb, at least when I was a part of it, was about 10 months, and then egos and all that shit just started to clash. And me and my good buddy Sean Durant, who was the guitar player for the Opposable Thumb, once all that shit, we've been talking, we decided to start another project, and one of my good friends from a band called Absinthe, he was the drummer, his name was Mark Peterson, about, hey, we should start a project together. And then, when the Thumb just kind of dismantled, we just decided to start a little project. And so, me, Sean, and Mark just kind of got together and jammed. And in fact, a lot of the songs that are in our repertoire now were kind of written in those few first rehearsal sessions. But yeah, that's kind of how Meat formed.
When the sun goes down and the day turns to night, the king turns on, the king turns on,
So we got together, had a few jam sessions, and it was the chemistry seemed to be flowing, and all this and that, and then we're like, hey, this seems like it's gonna work, so we should probably come up with a name. And so of course we decided to get together on a Friday night, and of course there's probably a little bit of alcohol involved, and maybe a little bit more than we had planned on. And so we there's this shop in Salt Lake City called the Heavy Metal Shop, which I'm sure is everybody knows about, and is worldwide. And so here we are sitting around. It was in Mark's front room, and we're about 5-6 sheets, and it's like, okay, well, let's here we go. Mark had this heavy metal sticker, and so we cut out all the letters on the heavy metal shop sticker. We're like, okay, so what's going to happen is our band is going to be in the letters of this heavy metal shop lettering. And everything we came up with had the word meat in it. And so finally, after 8 or 9 sheets, we're like, why don't we just call our band Meat? And it's pretty much as simple as that. It was just like, hey man, hey, it's catchy. Everybody likes meat, right? And so it just kind of stuck, and from there on out, it was Meat. That version of the band lasted about 8 months, you know. But you know, that's the thing. That was just the start. That was just the catapult, and in that first 8 months, you know, we had written and recorded our first album, you know, which, you know, was pretty epic, you know, because not only did we write this full album full of songs, we went in and recorded these songs. It was a foundation that is still, you know, lasting till this day. You know, in fact, the original bass player was Walter Roman, just one of Sean Durant's friends, a friend of mine too. But he just kind of filled in. You know, he's like, okay, I'll kind of fill in till you guys figure something out as far as the bass player action goes, and you know, it worked, and he helped us build our foundation of Meat and what it is. Also, you know, he was on the album. It was the four of us: Mark, Sean, Walt, and me, and that's, you know, that kind of built the stepping stools for the rest of what came. So that was, you know, very short-lived, but yeah, that's, yeah. You know, we've had different lineups over the years, and you know, unfortunately, you know, a couple years ago when the original lineup just kind of fizzled, and you know, mostly due, unfortunately, because, you know, everybody couldn't get along, and it happens all too well with bands, but it did. But you know, I personally gave it some time, and I had a lot of say in the writing, and you know, most of it, you know, I contributed to. So I didn't want to let that legacy go to the wayside, and so you know, of course, like anybody would do, you know, I recruited my daughter, and you know, we battled it out for like 10 seconds, and you know, we just started our rehearsals, you know, and you know, from there we just decided, you know, yeah, this is probably going to work. It's going to take some work to build back up, but ultimately, you know, I didn't want to let that legacy go, because you know, pretty much, you know, not the initial lineup, but the Meat as it was together for, you know, about almost 10 years, and you know, not only did we have that initial album that we wrote with initial lineup, the first lineup, but you know, we wrote and recorded a second album, and you know, which was very successful, and so there's a lot of good songs there, you know, a big arsenal that I just didn't want to let go, you know, and you know, we came up with this name Meat, you know, which was kind of a, you know, a drunken floozy night, which is cool, you know, because I think a lot of bands come up with their name and their whole career based on that, but whatever, you know, it's fun, good times. But you know, I have to say, I got to give credit to you know, to my wife, that, you know, she woke up one night and said, hey, I had this dream. And I'm like, well, yeah, what dream did you have? She's like, we were at the club and you guys were playing, and someone came to me and asked me, you know, what does Meat stand for? And she's all, well, it stands for the Metal Edge Assassin Team. And, you know, and from there, you know, she passed it on to me, and I'm like, well, there we go. Damn. Well, of course. It's like it's meant to be, the Metal Edge Assassin Team. So, and it just kind of, you know, evolved into what it is today. But that's you know, that's where that all came from. And you know, for whatever it means, who knows, who cares, but it sounds really cool, and you know, that's all that really matters, but ultimately we're still meat.
It's all I can do. Chase the stairs, come and lay, watch my back as I look at your face. Chase the stairs by my heels, looking back each way. All I feel is all I can do. Chase the stairs, come and lay, watch my back as I look at your face. Chase the stairs by my heels, looking back each way. All I feel is all I can do. It's all I can do. It's all I can do. It's all I can do.
Yeah, our current drummer, you know, Daniel, man. You know, I've been jamming with this guy for a long time. Back when I first started my career, and you know, even back to high school. It was back to high school. You know, when I started my first band, you know, I think we took some fucking home ed class or something like that, and you know, I think we just like out of the blue sat next to each other, and I found out that he played drums, you know, and I was just like, well, you know, yeah, well, let's start a band, you know, and you know, that band eventually became Struck by Lightning, and kind of evolved, and from there, you know. Here we are 20 years later, and you know, I'm trying to reform Meat, and I'm like, I need somebody to come play drums, and of course, you know, Daniel happens to show up back in the scene, so to speak, and you know, I called him up. We had some rehearsals, and it just happened to work out. So everything just kind of fell into place, you know, and you know, he could play the songs, and it was just all good, and we got some good chemistry. So yeah, that's kind of how that all came about, and you know, the future of all that is we'll see what happens. So you know, for the future of Meat, you know, we've got our, now we're down to a three-piece, which is cool, and it works. And you know, I mean, for the future, you know, I definitely want to add back in a second guitar player. But for now, this is working. You know, we're finally getting out there and performing, and bringing back the music. But you know, the whole lineup now, you know, is me, myself, Mr. Meat. On drums, we got Daniel Jesse, and on bass, we've got Lindsay, and the great chemistry that we have. You know, we're coming at you, so watch out.
Control.